Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, I guess now, 2 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order, our KIPDA meeting for the month of August. Welcome each and every one. We'll start out item number 2 as a roll call. Jared, your call.
Honorable John Black.
Here.
Honorable John Logan Brent. Honorable Sean Crothers. Honorable Byron Chapman.
Here.
Honorable Beverly Chester Burton.
Here.
Honorable Jack Kaufman. I see Jack
Yeah,
there.
he's here, but he's muted.
Honorable Bill Deeriff. Mr. Brian Dixon. The Honorable David Eaton.
Here.
Mr. Kevin Beatty.
Here.
Mr. Jeff O'Brien for the Honorable Greg Fisher.
Here.
Honorable Jeff Gahan. Mr. Keith Griffey.
Here.
Honorable Treva Hodges. Honorable Dan Eisen. Mr. Andy Crouch for the Honorable Mike Moore.
Here.
Honorable Todd Pollock. I see you. Honorable Judge John Riley. Honorable Joe Robinson. Honorable Jerry Summers.
Here.
Honorable Rick Tonini.
Here.
Honorable Jim Travis.
Here.
And the Honorable David Vogel.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
All
Mr.
right,
Chairman.
thank you so much. Item number 3 is a welcome, and one more time, I welcome each and every one of you. Remember now the process. If you need, keep your yourself on mute. But when you do have a motion or a second or a question, especially the motion and a second, state your name as you make the motion, where we know we can get the the proper documentation for our upcoming minutes. Okay, with that being said, item number 4 is our minutes. I need a motion to approve the minutes.
Kevin Beatty, so moved.
Second.
Beverly is second. Any additions or corrections to these minutes? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion does carry. Item number 5 is our July financial statements. Defer to Mr. Tom Pope. Tom?
Thank you. In your information, agenda item number 5 is the July financial report. And as always, this time of year, you can't really tell a whole lot about where we're headed. But and we've, as you recall, we in our budget that's approved for 21, it is a continuation of the 21 budget. And until we get our final revenue figures, it didn't make sense to change anything. But on the first page, on the summary of elements, we've put in there as the 21 budget information, the budgets that we had for 20 for each of the work elements, just to give a general idea of where we stand. And obviously it's too early to tell much, but there's nothing jumping out that appears to be any kind of a problem right now. Following this, the summary is the agency-wide revenues and expenditures. And now that we did not put the budgets in because we know those are going to change. But again, there's not any indication of anything is going to be a problem, but it's just too early to tell. And then the balance sheet is the last part of the report, and it shows we're in a sound financial position, as long as we don't have to pay up all of our retirement debt right now. So, but I'll be glad to answer any question anyone might have.
Any question, Mr. Tom? Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes, the July financial statements. Motion approved.
I'll make a motion. David E. Mayor, Shelbyville.
Okay, David. Second?
Second, David Vogel.
All right, I have a motion and a second, and no questions. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, thank you so much. Now, let's move on, if we would, to item number 6, Kentucky Highway Safety Initiatives. Jason, you're up, please.
All
right. Can everybody hear me all right?
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Chairman Chapman and Mr. Haley, for the ability to be here speaking with you today. Really excited to talk with y'all this morning about some of our highway safety initiatives, and I'm going to touch on our newly approved strategic highway safety plan. So I'm going to share my screen here. And can everybody see that?
Yes, sir. Oh, I got it, Chairman.
And I also want to point out that I'm going to provide these slides to Jarrett following our meeting today, and so they'll be emailed to you. That way you'll have them. And so let's talk a little bit about highway safety. And I never want to start a conversation about highway safety, especially because we end up talking a lot about numbers and looking at statistical things. But highway safety isn't about numbers, and y'all know that. Highway safety is about people. Highway safety is about helping people, and highway safety is about preventing crashes, particularly those that result in either serious injury or death. And so as we look at the opportunities that we're going to talk about today and some of the trends that we talk about today, even though I am going to talk about some numbers, I just don't want it to be forgotten that when we talk about highway safety, we do that because it matters to our people. It matters to, our friends and neighbors, our families, our communities, and to each one of us. So I always like to start there so that there's never any mistake about why we do the things that we do. So I'm going to spend a couple minutes here talking about SAFE KY, which is the Kentucky Strategic Highway Safety Plan for 2020 through 2024 that was approved a little earlier this calendar year. And just as a kind of an aside, I know that every agency, every organization has, plans of various types. Like I know that the AD does the transportation plan, the transportation improvement plan, the public participation plan. When we talk about the strategic highway safety plan, the best plan in the world doesn't help you do anything or get anywhere if it's not actionable, if you're not able to use it. So when we developed this plan, it was with the intention not only of the State Highway Safety Office and the Transportation Cabinet to be able to use it, but also for it to be able to be used in local communities, like each one of you represent. And so I want to talk a little bit about the document as a whole, and then we'll talk about some of its pieces. So we have a bold goal for this 5-year period with our strategic highway safety plan, and that's to prevent enough of these serious crashes that statewide we'll have less than 500 per year highway deaths per year by 2024. Now, for reference, last year, unfortunately, we lost 732 people on the roadways across the Commonwealth to traffic crashes. And that's not only folks in cars, that's also bicyclists, pedestrians. And so we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. One of the concepts that we've heard be front and center over the last several months with the pandemic is the concept of prevention. And so we worked really hard with public health officials on this document to kind of reflect that same sort of nature. When we talk about highway crashes and we talk about deaths and serious injuries, a lot of times folks will see and hear and talk about reduction. Well, if we had 732 last year, let's reduce that by some number this year. But I'll tell you that each and every day at the stroke of midnight, we start a day where there are no serious crashes, there are no deaths, there are no serious injuries. And in 2018, we had just over 60 such days across the entire Commonwealth. And when you look at it from the standpoint of a local community, there are many days, I hope, within your communities where you do not have these types of serious crashes. And so we're trying to build upon that zero-based message, because ultimately that's what we really want, is for zero people to lose their life or to be seriously injured or affected by traffic crashes. But we're working really hard with public health professionals on that prevention message. And then there are 6 emphasis areas that I'm going to cover in our strategic highway safety plan. And they're here for your reference. But we're going to look at things like aggressive driving, distracted driving, impaired driving, occupant protection, roadway departure, which is, anytime you're going to leave your lane of travel and go either into another lane or go off the side of the road. And then we're also taking a special look at vulnerable road users, and we're going to go into that in just a little bit. But the thing that I really want to talk about is that Kentucky is a very diverse place, all the way from the west where you have relatively flat land and karst terrain to the mountains in the east. And each one of our regions and each one of our communities has different needs. And so your particular community may have some of these needs, but may not have great opportunities in others. And so the concept here is that we want to be connecting with local communities on what their needs are and how we can best help them help their citizens. So let's look at a couple here, particularly within the KIPDA area. And I'm going to start with this concept of vulnerable road users. And so a vulnerable road user is basically anybody that uses the transportation system that is not in a car or a truck, not in a vehicle. So think pedestrians, bicyclists, motorcycle riders, electric scooter riders, moped riders. And so looking at those who use the transportation system who are the most vulnerable because, they're not in a car or a truck where they have something like a seat belt or some of the other protections that are built into those vehicles. And so I've shown some data here just specifically for the KIPDA ad area. And this is actually from a soon to be published resource where individuals such as yourself will be able to go and see what types of safety opportunities there are in your community. So I'm showing a view here for the ad, and the statistics in the upper right are for the last 5 years of data that we have. But you'll be able to look at this county-wide in your county or in your city or in various other ways. So we're trying to make it so that you understand what's happening in your community, so you know what types of things can be done to help your citizens. So we talked about this a little bit, who is a vulnerable road user. But one of the things that I'll say is that these types of crashes with vulnerable road users tend to be more severe, by proportion than other types of crashes, just because, again, you're not, at least one of those folks is not in a vehicle where they would have a seatbelt or other safety protections. And so grouping those individuals together, pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorcycle riders, makes a lot of sense because a lot of the things that we are able to do either from an infrastructure standpoint or a behavioral standpoint is something that can affect all three of those positively. So just to look at this, Kentucky has made great strides over the last decade, in the last 15 to 20 years in particular, in the prevention of these serious crashes. But as we have more people walking, as we have additional distracted driving and other societal items, pedestrian deaths are actually on the rise. And it's something that, if we look at a little bit differently, we're hoping to be able to curb those and to prevent as many of those as possible. And so the second one that I'll talk about, and I always like to mention this just from the standpoint of what we can do, obviously, as those who drive. This is the occupant protection area. And you'll see, if you look in the bottom right corner there, I have a graphic where I'm really only showing the data from the last 5 years, but you can see that some of those numbers are pretty stable across that 5-year period and across that 10-year period. And basically what this area is talking about is how many folks are in their seatbelts, how many folks are using their seatbelts, and child passenger restraint. And in 2018, when we did our observed seatbelt count, KIPDA is actually one of the highest regions in the state as far as seatbelt usage, observed seatbelt usage. But when you look at the statistics of folks that are perishing in motor vehicle crashes, over 50% commonly are not properly restrained. So there's a big opportunity here for folks if just to get in and do that restraint to help. And so one of the things that was called out in our strategic highway safety plan is that if we could have everybody just magically snap our fingers and have 100% of folks using their seatbelts within the Commonwealth, that could save up to 200 lives every year across the state. And that's a big deal. And so, when we talk about that kind of stuff, these are the types of things that we do like to partner with local communities on. And I'm going to show you an example of that here in just a second. But I do want to say that while we've made a lot of progress in occupant protection, not only across the KIPDA region, but across the entire state, we still have a long way to go. When we talk about the possibility of saving up to 200 lives just for the simple action of folks wearing their seatbelts, that's something that I really want to champion to everyone, is that that's a great opportunity to prevent loss in our communities is by setting the example and by ensuring that folks are doing that. So, some of the things that we do in the Office of Highway Safety, we take care of the state's behavioral programs, if you will. So, you have obviously infrastructure projects where you look at building roads and building things related to highway safety. But then there's the other side of it where we do education activities, enforcement activities, and work with emergency medical responders across the state to try and prevent crashes and to reduce the severity of those crashes that do happen. And so I'm going to show an example from a KIPDA county that we worked with last year on a campaign called Local Heroes, which is a discussion between local law enforcement officers about folks buckling their seatbelts.
When you're working traffic across Spencer County, dealing with deaths and injuries, it's an unfortunate part of the job.
I've heard every excuse for not wearing a seatbelt. I'm just going down the road. I've got an airbag. My truck will protect me. And my favorite, I just forgot.
Crashes can happen anywhere. Kentucky 55, Highway 44, Kentucky 248,
I-64, I-265, Kentucky 151, US 60, Bluegrass Parkway. If you know the roads around here, you'll know what I'm talking about.
What are the odds of you being in a crash? Well, I'm no fortune teller. But what I do know is a seatbelt is your best protection against injury and death.
So please get in and buckle up day and night, and make sure your family and friends buckle up too.
Spencer County, this is our community. If writing tickets can prevent tragedies like the ones I've seen, I'll do it.
Why? Because it saves lives. In my line of work, I know. I've seen it.
Click it or ticket. A message from the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety.
And so there are opportunities where we work with local communities all across the state based on where we see needs, based on data like the data I showed you earlier. And we do all kinds of campaigns like this, all types of media and marketing. And again, aimed at helping people make those decisions that were they to be in a crash might save their life. And so, I want to talk just a little bit about our strategic highway safety plan. And I talked about it earlier being actionable. And part of what we're going to do is for each one of those 6 emphasis areas, we're developing a task force. And so each one of those will have its own implementation plan where over this 5-year period, we're going to commit to work with communities. We're going to commit resources, and we're going to look for ways to urgently prevent some of these serious crashes and the serious outcomes from these crashes. Like I said, there's nothing that we can agree on more probably than a traffic crash is something that while we wish didn't happen, it does become a part of everyday life. And we want to prevent as many of those as possible, and we want to prevent those severe outcomes. And so we're working with communities, we're working with folks like you, we're working with leaders to try and put things in place to help our citizens. So I want to talk for just a second. Like I said, I very much appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. And from the standpoint of what an organization like yours and what different local agencies can do, I think that what we've done today is really important. Just getting informed and understanding what some of these opportunities might be. Learn and encourage your staff, your transportation staff in particular, to learn about transportation safety and what those opportunities might be in your community. Get involved. Do you have a staff member who is passionate about people, passionate about highway safety? We're looking for folks to partner with in your local community. While I'm the head of the state highway safety office, safety is a local issue. Safety is something that is done a community at a time and ultimately one trip at a time. And we want every one of those trips to be a safe one. And this last one I'll touch on for just a second here, and that's to be a good example. I know how easy it is to get involved and be, working and so busy, but remember that folks in your communities, they look to you as their leaders. They know who you are. And so, if they see you and you're not wearing a seatbelt, or you're not, you're not obeying various traffic laws or things like that, they might think that that's okay for them to do too. So even if you don't interact with folks directly on this particular issue or topic, I promise you that they do look to you for that type of leadership, and they see. So I would just implore each of you to try and remember that when you're behind the wheel, to be a good example. Don't drive distracted. Please wear your seatbelt and all of those things. You never know who it might affect in your community. I put this in here and I just want to show it quickly that there's I put a resources page in here to talk about some of the things that I touched on today, because I went very quickly. Those local heroes videos, like I showed, we've done those for several communities within the KIPDA area, and I've linked all of those here to where they are on YouTube. And several other resources, our strategic highway safety plan, our buckle up, phone down campaign, encouraging drivers again to take those two actions seriously, buckling their seatbelt and putting their phone down. And like I said, I'm so appreciative of the opportunity. If there's time, I'd be happy to take questions. But I'm really, really thankful for your all's interest in this. And I'm really excited for the opportunities we have to positively affect our communities all across the state and throughout the KIPDA region by improving highway safety. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Director. Any questions anyone has for the Director? Director, if you could, over this, of course, 5-year period of where you're, working, of course, to reduce these deaths, which is commendable. If there's something that you could send through KIPDA that we could forward on to each of the cities, and we could maybe put in our websites and our city literature, just to kind of keep it up in on the front burner, if you would, for the cities for the next 5 years, would be helpful if you could do that.
Chairman, I will make a commitment that we will most certainly will do that.
Super. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your hard work, and let's keep those numbers going down.
Thank you so much.
All righty, thanks. Item number 7 is the regional water management update. Justin?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, Board. We held our Regional Water Management Council meeting here last month, and we're just preparing for the state revolving fund loan round of projects now. All of our fiscal year 2021 KIPDA County Water Management Council meetings have now been scheduled. They're all scheduled for the later part of next month. In these meetings, we're going to prioritize and rank all of the water and wastewater projects in order of their need and their funding eligibility. I'm then going to use these county rankings to create our KIPDA regional water and wastewater rankings, which we will approve during our next Regional Water Management Council Zoom meeting on Tuesday, October 13th. These regional rankings will be used to illustrate the water and wastewater infrastructure needs and priorities for each county in our region. And then we are going to apply for state revolving fund loan funding for the fiscal year 2022 cycle for these. The state revolving fund loan program is a low interest loan program for drinking water, wastewater, stormwater, or non-point source infrastructure projects. Some examples of those kind of projects include water and sewer line replacements. We have extensions, pump station rehab replacements, new water storage tanks, etc. The SRF loan terms consist of 20 to 30-year terms with competitive interest rates. The interest rates are not set right now for the fiscal year 2022 cycle. They set those annually every year, and they haven't been established yet. But however, the current rates for those right now they range from 0.5% to 3%, so very low interest rates for those loans. Great for funding any kind of infrastructure needs that our communities need in our region. If any system in our KIPDA region is interested in receiving funding from the SRF loan program through KIA, the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority, please contact me, as I am the regional water management coordinator for our region, as soon as possible, so I may begin to assist you all with preparing electronic project profile for those. The Kentucky Infrastructure Authority's Water Resource Information System portal, the WRIS portal, is the database that we use to do those, and I will create a project profile for that. The information contained in the project profile will be used by KIA and the Kentucky Division of Water to score and rank projects based on the published set of criteria that they already have put together. All systems who intend to submit a project for SRF funding in the upcoming cycle must have their projects to me by Friday, October 9th. That's pretty paramount because I need those in order to rank those and get them ready for our next Regional Water Management Council meeting, which is going to be on October 13th, Tuesday, October 13th at 1:30 p.m. After our next council meeting at the call for projects closes, the Division of Water will then begin scoring all those projects submitted for consideration and will begin to prepare their project priority list. This list will be released in May of next year, and it's a part of their intended use plan or their IUP, and the projects will be funded and ranked in the priority order. Myself and the KIPDA community and economic development staff are here to assist you with applying for these low interest loans for your community's infrastructure needs. We've done quite a few over the past few years, and Danielle Story, our director, and myself are here to help you guys out in any way with that. I know that we have a lot on the books already with those, but if anybody has any part of your community, your water or wastewater, or any storm water now, they're actually accepting a lot more stormwater projects. We would be glad to help assist with getting those applications into the KIA, and then we can also administer those. If you guys are invited for funding, we also do Davis-Bacon or American Iron and Steel components of those loans. So if there's any projects you all can think of or communicating with your directors of your water and wastewater systems, please reach out to me and I'll make sure that I assist you guys in getting those submitted. That concludes my report, Chairman. There's no action requested on this. Thank you so much, Board. I appreciate it.
Well, glad to have your report. Any questions of Justin? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to item number 8. That's our 2020 census update. Hayden, you're up for this.
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. First things first, we'd like to thank all of the counties and your census complete count committees for keeping your citizens responsive. Right now, Kentucky is 20th in the nation, and as a state, we have an average of 66.8. But the KIPDA region as a whole is doing even better. We have an average response rate of 74.2%. And all of our counties are above the national average. We have also all surpassed our 2010 response rate. And as of right now, the most recent data that we have, the reporting rates are as follows for our counties. Oldham has 82.4%. Spencer is at 79.1%. Bullitt is 77.8%. Shelby is 74.5%, Henry is 70.7%, Jefferson is 70.5%, and Trimble is 65.8%. And we would like to congratulate Oldham and Spencer. You have been in the top 40 pretty steadily, and special congrats to Oldham, who is right now, they're at 7th in the nation, so woohoo. And to date, nationally, the census is reporting that 76.5% of housing units have been accounted for. They are continuing to send field workers out, and if you haven't responded, you could get a knock at your door. However, they are showing that 12.1% is getting counted through in-person responses, and 64.4% is online or over the phone. So if you can keep pushing the online reporting, that's the easiest and most convenient way, and that gets more people in there. They are, of course, moving forward with precautions, and safety and health of their workers and the public is the most important thing. And the Census Bureau contacts that we have would like you guys to know that they are right now working in high traffic areas like meal sites, grocery stores, churches, community centers. And they have questionnaire assistants there, and census workers will have computers to assist people. You can still respond online. If you haven't responded, go ahead and do it, and keep pushing, and good job, everybody. Thank you.
All righty, thank you so much. We want to thank Oldham County for being well up in the single digits. Any questions for Hayden?
Appreciate that.
Excuse me, David?
I say we appreciate that.
No problem, no problem. All righty, let's move on to number 9 then, the Community and Economic Development for fiscal year 2021. Danielle, you're up.
Hello, good afternoon. I am requesting that the board ratify the executive director signing an MOA with the Department of Local Government. This MOA is specifically for the Department of Local Government to administer funds that the ads were awarded through the EDA that were made available through the CARES Act. This funding is in the amount of $392,000 for 2 years, and it's for the purposes of providing pandemic response, COVID-19 economic response assistance. And that includes a resiliency planning efforts, along with hiring a coordinator that will be assisting all of our cities and counties in the KIPDA region with needs assessment and planning purposes, as well as connecting with various financial resources and grants that have been made available through all of this, and help guide you through that. That job should be posted shortly as well. So you should be seeing that. So just asking for the approval for the signing of that MOA.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Danielle before we ask for a motion? Okay, I'll ask for a motion for the to agree for the 2021 memorandum of agreement for the CED. Have a motion?
Motion approved, Bill Dare.
Bill?
Second.
Beverly is the second. Any questions? All in favor, aye? Aye.
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 Opposed? Danielle, motion does carry. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, thank you.
All righty, item number 10 is Division of Social Services Activities. Jessica, give us an update, please.
Hi, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, board members. I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what we're doing right now, and let you all know about some upcoming activities that will be happening in the coming months. As you know, we're still working at 50% less capacity here in the building. I kind of just want to say we are all holding steady, not only staff here, but providers out in the community. And I think that is a great accomplishment at this given time that we're in. But a little bit about our program so that you can have the information out there for your community members. You should know that our Aging and Disability Resource Center that takes all of our calls is actually seeing a decrease in calls. We believe that's contributed to the great work that our community is doing out there, that people have been connected to resources, and that you all are meeting your community members' needs in various ways, and that everybody's kind of settled into their new normal. And we've met those immediate needs, which I think is a great thing. We continue to see different challenges, and they're being addressed as we go along. Open discussions are happening, which is great. Our Medicaid waiver and our home care program with our in-home services is holding steady. We're not really seeing a decline or an increase in services there either. We have about half of the clients that we formerly had on hold in June in our home care program. So we are seeing a return of people requesting in-home services. They're ready to have some people in their homes, you know, with the precautions in place, and we're working diligently, the providers, to make sure that people are safe. Our assister program, our KHB IPA program, working very hard. The state never hesitates to add just one more thing to their agenda to do, to reach out and make sure that the people's needs are met. Right now, as of in July, they took over 1,100 phone calls and processed several hundred applications. One of the things that I do want to mention there, and we'll get a little bit more in depth with it next month, is not only will Medicaid but Medicare open enrollment will begin coming in October and November through December. So they will be working in that. one thing else, as you all know, the managed care organizations have changed in this coming calendar year. I read an article, I hope you guys did too, that Molina is looking to purchase Passport. So that was great news that we received. I hope that that goes through because as you know, Passport is one of the largest Medicaid providers here in the region. And that will mean some kind of consistency and continuation of services for those clients. Adding that stress to this time was really a concern for us. In our 3C program, our meals nutrition program, as a state, great accomplishment. We hit over 1.5 million meals last week, and that continues to rise. We took a slight dip at the end of July, 1st of August by a few hundred, but we've regained that when we're moving back the other direction. I don't want to get too deep into funding because really all I want to say about that is that we've heard that we were receiving more, but we haven't received it. So, but when we do, we'll let you know. The governor has pledged to make sure that those meals continue to be served throughout the rest of the year. And we're going to hold him to that. So in our 3B program, our supportive services, the senior centers are not being allowed to open yet. The conversation has not continued. It was kind of put on the back burner when the COVID numbers went up. So we were hoping for some news right around then. And then the governor announced, we were up to the 9 to 1,000 people numbers that day. So we are desperately trying to find ways, work with providers to provide services to those individuals who have now been in their homes for 5-6 months, to get education, advocacy, counseling to them in a virtual environment that they don't have access to, the phone or the tablet itself, or the hotspots or the internet access to use it. It's an ongoing conversation on how we can do that. Caregiver services are still happening virtually and over the phone. Telephone reassurance calls are still occurring. We've seen a slight uptick, which is great, in transportation services with about 2,700 trips last month. So people are returning to the doctors, to outpatient visits, things like that. We're glad they're getting out there. They're getting the health care that they need. Long-term care ombudsman continues to be a challenge, getting in to advocate and counsel those who are in nursing facilities. I don't think I have to go much in depth with that with you all. You know that those individuals are suffering with social isolation and containment there. Next month, we'll have a couple people presenting to you about open enrollment services in our SHIP program. There will be mailings going out to clients that we are aware of, both current and former, to inform them about the upcoming open enrollment periods. So there'll be mass mailings, and we'll make sure that you all get all that information to share as well. And then our other programs, our PCHP contract that we picked up recently, we've only gotten a few referrals, but I don't necessarily think that's a negative thing. It's giving us a little time to get used to the process. We're hopeful that we'll move forward with some direct physician referrals and a new in addition to that contract in the coming months. But I'll let you know more about that as we do too. And please, please, please put a little note in your book for the next board meeting, because I'll talk a little bit about upcoming events for veterans that we're planning for late October, early November. Not only us, but other community organizations working together to get some information out there to veterans. So we'll talk about that some more as well. If y'all, that's the end, but if you have any questions, please let me know. I would just like to say lastly, thank you all to the board members, the staff here, the providers, and especially the volunteers that still make this possible every day. Without each and every one of us, it would not be happening. So.
Thank you, Jessica. We appreciate the hard work that you guys continue to do for us, for sure. Any questions of Jessica?
Thank you.
Before I get into item number 11, if anyone joined the meeting after Jared called the roll, let him know where we make sure your attendance is counted.
Byron, I connected afterwards. Sorry.
Okay, well, all right.
Judge Ison, we've got you also.
Did you get all those, Jared?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, good deal. Thank you so much. Okay, then now item number 11, the August personnel report. Jared, you're up.
I have a short personnel report. We have one new hire at KIPDA. November Taylor has been hired as a service advisor in the Division of Social Services effective August 10th. November has a bachelor's degree from social work from the Eastern Michigan University and comes to KIPDA from Ohio Valley Educational Cooperative, where she worked as a community child care specialist. We currently have one vacant position. It's a part-time service advisor in the Division of Social Services. And our staff count right now is 81 full-time permanent, 3 part-time permanent, and 6 full-time temporary. This concludes my report. Action is requested.
All right, I need a motion to approve this report.
Motion to approve.
Second by the other person that was late.
Good. Good afternoon, Bill. Bill seconded that. Any other questions on this report? All in favor? Aye.
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 Jared, your report was approved. Thank you so much. Item number 12, the audit service contract. Tom, bring us up to speed on this contract, please.
All right, thank you. You may remember that the firm of MCM, who's been doing our audit for a while and had the third year of the last bid was for FY20, and they requested an increase in fees up to $33,450. The board felt that with an increase of that much, they requested that we do an RFP, which we've done. We ran an ad in a Sunday Courier Journal, trying to get as much exposure that way. Jarrett asked for any recommendations from board members about any audit firms. Kevin Beatty sent in a list of some firms, and we sent RFPs to all those firms. I was in touch with the Lincoln Trail ad in E-Town, which is the closest. I thought maybe they had some ideas of firms that might be able to do it. They gave me 3 firms, one that does their audit and 2 that had bid and had good proposals to them in the past. So this resulted in, in addition to the MCM proposal, we got proposals from 2 other firms. One was Strothman and Company, and one was Carr, Riggins, and Ingram. The evaluation criteria included experience on doing similar types of jobs, size of the firms, personnel, et cetera, and as well as price. The Strothman and Company was the low proposal at $30,200, and then MCM was at $33,450, and then Carr, Riggs, and Ingram was $47,000 plus out-of-pocket expenses up to $2,500 a year. The Strothman proposal started out at $30,200 and over 3 years would go to $32,200, and the other 2 firms would hold their price steady for all 3 years. We felt that the Strothman and Company proposal was not going to get us the level of review and that we felt we needed, because their proposal was based on 200 hours, 214 hours. The Carr, Riggs, and Ingram was for 320 hours, and the MCM was for 372 hours. So we felt it was justifiable not to go with the low cost on this, and we feel that it makes the most sense to go with MCM. They know our operations. They're also they were all aware. They were told that we're going to have to switch over to a governmental report this year, which will take some extra time, and we feel that knowing our system, that MCM is going to be able to hit the ground running, and we just thought that the lowest and best offer was from MCM for the $33,450 for all 3 years, provided that there's no significant changes in circumstances here. So I'll be glad to answer any questions anyone might have.
Any questions of Tom? So if I understand it right, we need a motion that will approve or accept the 33,450 for the next 3 years. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the company is the
MCM.
MCM, yes, right, okay. That would be the motion, and the MCM accept their proposal for 33,450 for 3 years. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Judge
Okay.
Vogel.
David? Second?
I'll second it.
All right, sir. We have a motion and a second. Any questions of Tom? Not all in favor of this contract motion, say aye.
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 Opposed? Tom, that motion did carry. Tom, you're still up with us for a little bond insurance. Would you talk to us, please?
Yes, thank you, sir. Our fidelity bond is in a different, for some time, we got off the schedule. It's not on our fiscal year. It's for period ending end of August. And that had been through KCO in years past. And then KCO decided that they didn't want to include it, but they recommended that we work with, I hope I'm pronouncing it, Roding, ROEDING Insurance. And we worked with them for the last few years. Our fidelity bond is for $4 million, less 150, which is covered under our basic KCO policy. So the first 150 of any claim would go against the KCO policy. In previous years, actually for the last 4 years, it was $5,242, $5,242. This year it went up to $5,766. I talked to the representative there at the insurance company, the agency, and he said that they'd worked hard to try to keep it steady, and had been successful for 4 years, but that I guess within the industry, there's been some increases, and there were some across the board increases because of claims. If we'd had increases each of those years, it would have worked out to about 2.5% a year. This is a 10% increase from what we've been paying, but that's, as I said, that's a rate we've been paying for 4 years. So we feel this is reasonable and request approval.
Okay. Questions? I need a motion in to approve Roding Insurance, I guess, for $5,766. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That's a 1-year contract, right?
Yes, sir. Mhm.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Todd Pollock.
All right, thank you. Second?
Second, Mayor John Black.
Mayor Black. Okay, any questions of Tom on the bond insurance? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none. Tom, you did okay on both of those.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Item number 14 is intergovernmental reviews. I understand A and B are both ready to go, so I need a motion to accept those reviews.
Make a motion.
Beverly, thank you, ma'am. Second?
I'll second it. Todd Pollock.
Thank you. Any questions with these two items, A and B, or B? All right, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 15, Executive Director's Report. Jared, we're back to you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, thank you everybody for joining us today. And I want to recognize Robert Augustine from Senator Rand Paul's office, who I see has joined us today. Robert, do you have anything that you'd like to say to our group?
Yes, sir. Just real quickly. Of course, we all know there's a couple of hurricanes coming in on our southern coast. Parts of Kentucky are expected to get some heavy flooding. I would advise that anyone is free to reach out to our office if we can help you have a conversation with a federal agency such as FEMA. And I would ask for anyone to please refer to us any constituents who may need assistance in communicating with a federal agency. 2 quick examples of that would be someone who draws Social Security who has been displaced from his or her home and is no longer able to receive a check at that mailing address. Another one would be military families who have had floods to wipe out their military records or lose their military awards and medals. That's all I have, and thank you again, Jarrett, for giving me an opportunity.
Thank you, Robert. We appreciate you sharing that information. I also want to let the board know in June, I had asked the board for authorization to sign the multi-assister contract, which is what Jessica was alluding to earlier. And we had some reservations based on the cap on indirect rate that we were able to charge. And I just wanted to let you know that we were continuing those conversations. Last Friday, Mayor Chapman joined us for a conversation with leadership of the Kentucky Health Benefit Exchange. So we are continuing to work through that, and I will continue reporting back to the board. But I wanted to let you all know that those conversations are ongoing. Also, and with Mayor Dearest being on here, he might be able to chime in as well. But we were told by the Department for Local Government that there are still many of our cities and counties that have not applied for the CARES Act funding that have been allocated to the city. I think one of the fears is that people aren't applying for the funding. It's going to give the impression that people don't need the money. So I think at this point, all our counties have applied, but many of our cities still have not applied. So Danielle and her team are going to start reaching out to everybody next week to assist with those applications. But we really want to encourage you all, if you all speak to your all's mayors, to if they have any expenses, to please apply and not leave those dollars on the table. Do you have anything to add, Mayor Dearest?
Yeah, the urgency is not because you have to right away, because you don't have to until December 31st. In fact, we're actually looking to, once we get that extended till the summer, but the urgency is there's another once more what you got this time again. So we're looking at another $300+ million, and to what Jared just mentioned, if we go to the governor and say, hey, we'd like the other half, we don't want him to say, well, you haven't spent the first half. Why do you need more? So if you have something, please go ahead and expend it. And especially if you have a police department, all you have to do is put down their salaries and you can claim it and get it in within a couple of weeks. So the simplicity of it, whether you're using KIPDA to look at it or KLC, we do ask you to go ahead and do it. The other thing we found out that a lot of cities and counties are under the misconception that they can only file for it once. So if you just say you have $1 million and you only have 400,000 to claim right now, go ahead and claim it. And you can put in 3, 4, or 5 once a week or whatever you want to do. It may drive you crazy, but you can file it for as many times as you want. But please go ahead and start filing it. So when we talk to the governor, KCO and KLC both, and this president of KLC, we're in constant conversation, wants to go get the other half for you all to make you whole. And the other reason for the other half is if for some reason the new bill comes out and changes this so where it could be revenue replacement, we want you all to be able to have it in hand. So in case you come up short next year, whether it's occupational refunds of people that are doing it right now or expenses that you have incurred, we want you all to be able to have enough money on the table that you survive and thrive in next year's economy. Thanks, Jared.
Thank you, Mayor. The only other item I have is just the upcoming meetings. RTC will not be meeting again until November. I know Amanda and Randall going out and meeting with all the counties and the regional transportation program, discussing the transportation issues, but that group will be getting together again in November. For next month on September 24th, the TPC will meet through Zoom at 12:30, and then the board meeting will follow at 2 o'clock also through Zoom. And again, we'll send out all the information in advance. So that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. No actions were required, correct?
No, sir.
Okay, item number 16, before we get to that, Mayor Dearest, I do want to thank you for all the efforts you're doing through KLC and in many different ways, especially this CARES Act. That has been a plus for all the cities, and it's a blessing in disguise. Thanks for your help there.
Thank you, Byron. I appreciate that.
Any other business to come before this board?
Just
number 17, motion to adjourn. Who wants to be?
Sorry, one more thing.
Okay, one moment, hold on.
I will just pass out. We are currently in the process of updating. We've got a spreadsheet from the Department of Local Government on which cities our region have applied for their CARES funding. And so we're currently updating a spreadsheet with that so we know who has applied and who has not. And we'll be happy to distribute that to board members as well.
I think that would be good. And if we know someone, we can personally call them and,
Exactly. It would be extremely helpful because we have many many cities in our region that haven't done so yet. So that would be great.
Super, thank you. Any other business before this board?
I've got something.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Black. Hey, this is.
I thought we were ending, but we're not.
Sorry?
Go ahead, Mayor.
Override, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure everyone's aware. Our Main Street director today had her car stolen out of her parking lot next to her office here in LaGrange. So it's a lime green SUV. If you see it running around in the KIPDA region, sorry to say, but she left her keys and her billfold and everything laying in the front seat.
Ooh.
So it's a shame she did that. She can't believe she did it, but her car is somewhere in the KIPDA region. So please check your alleys out and see if you can locate this car. But so we have no clue where our Main Street director's vehicle is tonight.
Okay, good deal. All right, well, not a good deal. Let's keep our eyes open for that, please. And we need, with that being said, make sure and tell all our residents, keep our doors locked and cars locked. That's a big factor in Jefferson County of vehicles getting stolen. Okay, no other comments. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
I got it. All right, and second.
Second.
Our motion and second. Thank you, guys. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
We are in consensus on that. See you next month in a new show. Thank you. Be safe.
Thank you all.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.